Today's video is about confidence, and confidence is a topic that is super relevant, always been, probably always will be. And it's important for us to understand what it is first that we're looking for, and then how to enhance it, because sometimes we work against ourselves. The first one is to understand what it is. Confidence is the ability, the trust to have with oneself that the actions that we take are good for ourselves. That we can rely on ourselves to bring more stability and to take care of who we are, pretty much, right? Is only through that we're able to have the freedom to allow ourselves to take actions without overthinking them, without thinking twice, without without trying to control too many things. And that's a key point here, is that a lot of us, to start with, just to set the idea, we do a lot of things that work against us, that doesn't put our well-being and our care for ourselves first. Things such as drugs, porn, things such as hanging with the wrong people. And not all of those cases, we're actually not putting our well-being first. And so it's easy to see how you wouldn't trust somebody who does that. You wouldn't put that much faith, you wouldn't put that much care into what that person has to say, because of how they treat you if they put you in those positions, right? When we put our instant gratification, our instant moment of comfort over how we actually view things and how we care about who we are, right? Then we're creating harm within ourselves. We're creating more confusion. We're creating more, it's like a more blur. But what you need is more clarity, right? Clarity in what you see, clarity in what the world is, and clarity into who you are. But that is negated by a lot of those actions. So let's get into the second part, how you can enhance confidence. And this part is pretty simple. It's just habits that you can apply today. Or at least start today as a habit, and it builds. And I made a list. The first one here is going to be to look people in the eyes. And the point with this is that when you're going into a room, when you're going into any social environment, all of those environments happen here. You see a room, you see a gym, you see a classroom. It's through perception that we communicate. Without the perception, the communication doesn't happen. And so it's important to let people know that you see them, and also that you are here. Because that's what you're doing. When you evade somebody's look, when you evade to be seen, let's say by a teacher, right? It's because you want them to think that you're not there. That's an easy example. When a teacher asks a question and says, to answer this question, we're going to go to, and they look around the room, a typical thing is that students look away because they don't want to answer. And that's exactly what we should keep in mind when it comes to confidence, is that the same way that you let people know that you're there is the same way that you can also get to know that you saw them and that they see you. And it allows you to feel like you're a part of this. You're a part of the collective consciousness, that you're part of this moment here. And so when it comes time to act, when it'll come time to talk, you will do so with a different energy, because you do so as somebody who is part of a part of this environment, not an outsider, not somebody who, was trying to not make his presence too seen, but somebody who accepts his role as part of whatever it is. Okay, that's number one. Number two is to stop saying "I think" so much. That's a lot of it's something that I used to do. It's something that a lot of people do, but it's to say "I think," and it's okay, right? It's not a harmful thing, but the repetition of "I think," it kind of reapplies in your own point of view that what you're saying is not super reliable. That's really what you're saying, is that you're trying to remove too much responsibility from what you're saying to be a statement, so that people don't put too much effort into it, and so that they can't be as disappointed. And that's crazy when you think about it, is that you're really selling yourself short, just off the rip. You're just saying, wait, don't don't quote me on this every time, everything you say. Don't quote me on this, but don't quote me on this, but. And easily, it's hard to buy into what somebody says if they always speak that way. And that's how you will start treating yourself, is that every time you're about to say something, you have to say that, oh, well, I think that. Well, we already know that everything that you say is what you think. That's what everybody does. Everybody says what they think. And so it's already established. You don't need to say it again. And it's important also for ourselves to accept that responsibility, that what we say, is our own words, that we will be held accountable for it. To say that I think or that whatever, it doesn't save you from anything. And to add that extra piece actually ends up being more harmful into that, because you're watching yourself selling yourself short, pretty much. It's hard to be more confident in that case. The next one is acceptance, and it kind of comes hand in hand with, the next two kind of come hand in hand, but the first one is acceptance. The acceptance is to actually, you have a life outside of any environment that you become a part of. And so, because where this is relevant is because confidence, that's where it shows the most, is in your interaction with people. How you feel at home by yourself and everything is not the same as when you're part of a dynamic, social interaction or social environment. And so that's where it matters most, right? And it's to remember about this point, is to remember that you have a life outside of it. And that's when the work will be done, which will appear in that moment. It's like the athlete. The athlete works out, in the off season, whatever, and works out outside of the game, but his performance matters in the game, right? And the question of acceptance is that outside of that moment, it's important for you to be at ease with where you are in life, where you are, where you live, what you eat, what you drive, how you dress, how much money you have. The more comfort you can have with those aspects of your life, the easier it will be for you to interact with people, because no matter how things unfold, you being seen for who you truly are, you having somebody see your life for what it is, will not faze you, because the way you've been carrying yourself throughout the whole ordeal will have been based on this foundation, which was truth. And it's the truth, the way that the way that you've accepted your life, and that's how you sold it to people. You've been carrying yourself in accordance to that, and that's what really matters. You don't want to be, approaching people and then to feel like you're being called out or uncomfortable when people, see you outside of that environment and start seeing, who you are, and now you're all uncomfortable. But there's no reason to be if you're at ease with that. And that's what brings me to the second point. The second point is to actually not lie to yourself. And that's a big one, because they come hand in hand, like I said. To not lie to ourselves about how we feel. That's one. You can't fake emotions. You can't fake, that you like something or you don't. For example, like maybe you don't like cheese, or maybe you like cheese. And it's not something that you can just like go to the gym and work on, right? To keep it on a simple point. Like if you're not happy with the money that you have, you're not happy with the car you drive, or you are happy, well, you gotta be okay with that. And you can't just be like, oh, well, trying to sell yourself on this car that you don't like. Well, you don't like the car. Boom. You gotta stand on it. You gotta, accept it for what it is. To lie to yourself will be a big problem, because lying to yourself is like a cheap way of not accepting life what it is, and it's kind of insulting to who you are, because who you are has spoken to you, and you decide to just lie and act, and that's you're rejecting yourself pretty much. And if you can't accept yourself, you can't accept your life, well, how will people accept it if you don't? Nobody buys from somebody who isn't even fully sold on what he's selling, right? Same thing. You're lying to yourself, and now you want people to buy into you and who you are. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Yeah, so don't lie to ourselves. The next one is decisions. That's a big one because, every day you do certain things. Maybe you eat breakfast here somewhere. Maybe you decide to dress a certain way. Maybe you do a bunch of things, but not you don't necessarily do all of them with what benefits you the most. It benefits you as far as experience, benefits you as far as what you gain out of it, and that's the big one, right? You if you're not doing it for those reasons, for what you truly want to do, then you're doing it for other people, and you're doing it for reasons which please other people. And the question is why, right? It's not just for you because you're such a good person. Good people, care about themselves, and then it allows them to care about others too. But that's actually an insecurity type of thing. You're not able to stand on how you feel, and and do the things that you want to do because there's a fear somewhere that you might rub people the wrong way, or people might not like that, and people whatever. In all those cases, you're basically putting yourself second and putting somebody else first. You can't build confidence doing that, and you're actually hurting yourself by doing that. So it's important to take decisions which benefit you, the thing that you want to do, and to risk that people don't like it, that people don't like you. But if people don't like that you do what pleases you, it's kind of like, do they even matter at that point, right? I think that's simple enough. Next is to do things because of who you are and not what you get out of them. And it kind of touches into the last point. And for example, it's kind of like these videos, right? I'm not gaining much from making these videos right now, right? My channel is still small. I'm not getting revenue from this. There's no ads or whatever. But there comes a point where I do it because, this is who I am. I like to talk about this. I like to make the video. I like the process of thinking it through. And so that's why I do them. And so there comes a point where even if I was to not have people watch them, even if I was to have people unsubscribe, or if I had people, flat out hate on the content, it doesn't matter because it's like there's nothing I can do about it. It's who I am, and that's what I'll do. And if anything, to not have an outcome, right, to not get anything out of this, for example, builds confidence, because it just proves that you're not doing it for an ulterior motive. You're not doing it because you want to get this or that. You're doing it because that's who you are. And if you find at least one thing which you're able to do in that manner, that you're able to do without getting anything in return, then it will allow you to have more confidence within who you are, and to move to the world in a different manner than just somebody who's lost, right? The last one is that I have here is to speak without too much detail, right? It touches into another video that I did, but to be able to speak about situations without, saying everything that went around, and the context and the details of what was and how you saw it and how they saw it and what they answered. No. Because it exposes, not that it exposes, but it only allows for people to interpret what you brought forward to them. That's what humans do. You show something, and we have to be critical of it. And so it will not benefit you at all. If anything, it can only push you to reassess that situation. It can only push you to question how you experienced it, right? And but the person who will give you their opinion on the situation, and who will give you how they saw it from the details, weren't there. They don't have they can't have all the information. There's an infinite amount of it. They can't know how you feel or felt at that moment. And it just puts your memories at a challenge, at a risk. And your perception of things is really all you have. And if you felt this way about an event, whatever it was, to go through that process can only hurt your perception of things, because you're in a weak position at that moment, in that dynamic when you're talking about it. And so what I suggest to do, what I try to do instead, is to speak in terms of ideas, right? You can take any situation and work into talking about it in a way which doesn't include all of the details, but just includes the part that you struggle with. So instead of saying that, somebody stole your juice box at school or work, you can just, it's an example I've used in the past, but is to go and tell and, say it in a way where I hate when one of the things that I don't like the most is when people take things that are not theirs. In that example, I was able to convey the same message, or if I'm looking for advice, I'd say, I don't know how to handle it when people take things that are not theirs. And so I get the same answer, right? In a way, I'll get an answer which will be in the same format. It'll be ideas. And then I'll be able to see and apply that in a way where it fits that exact situation. And in that way, I'm able to protect, right, who I am and how I view things. And I don't have to try to justify and explain. And we got to the same, we got to more progress, actually, rather than debating on this. We actually found an answer to the question and the concern that I had about a subject. And that is a huge thing, because, if you go and walk around and always talk too much details about things that you had or have going on, it doesn't make you any more strong. It kind of hurts your position. And in reality, that's what you should protect, right? Really, the only thing that makes you the most, in the purest form, is how you view things. And so yeah. I hope that this helps. I'll repeat all 7 just in case, but it was basically to look people in the eyes, to stop saying I think so much, to be in tune and accept your life that you have for what it is, to not lie to yourself, to make decisions which benefit you, not others, to do things because of who you are, not what you get out of them, and to speak without having to go into detail too much. You don't have to justify yourself and how you felt or the experience you lived. Thank you for watching.